We live in a time when the impossible becomes routine. Smartphones connect us to strangers across continents. Artificial intelligence writes poems, composes music, and predicts our next move before we make it. We've sent probes beyond Pluto. We've heard the echoes of black holes colliding. We've watched stars die in real time. And now, we are standing at the edge of something even bigger. Not just exploration, not just science, but colonization. The moment humanity becomes more than one planet species. The moment we stop being Earthlings and become Martians. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's engineering. It's logistics. It's steel, methane, solar panels, radiation shielding, and human will. And the man leading this charge? Elon Musk. Not because he's rich, not because he's famous, but because he built a company that doesn't wait for permission. SpaceX didn't ask NASA for approval to build a rocket that could land vertically. They just did it, and then they did it again and again. Now, they're building something far bigger. Not a rover, not a lander, not a flag, but a city, Omas, a self-sustaining colony, with homes, with farms, with power plants, with people who wake up every morning and look up at 2 moons, not one. This is not a dream. It's a project, and it's already underway. Why Mars? Because it's the only planet where survival is possible if you bring everything with you. Venus? Its atmosphere crushes like the bottom of the ocean. Its clouds burn with sulfuric acid. Its surface temperature melts lead. Impossible. The moon? No atmosphere, no water, no protection from radiation. Too cold, too dry, too dead. Europa? Ice-covered. Hidden ocean. Beautiful, but 600 million kilometers away. Too far, too risky, too slow. Mars? It has seasons. It has days almost as long as ours. It has polar ice caps, full of frozen water. It has soil, rich in iron, silicates, perchlorates. It has carbon dioxide, enough to make oxygen. It has gravity, 38% of Earth's. Enough to keep blood circulating. Enough to let children grow. It's close. At its closest, 55 million kilometers. That's less than a quarter of the distance to Jupiter. A journey takes 6 to 9 months with current propulsion. Long enough to test human endurance. Short enough to send supplies between missions. And most importantly, it's survivable. If you can build shelters, if you can extract water, if you can make fuel from air, then you can live. Mars isn't paradise. It's a frontier. And frontiers are where civilizations grow. In 2018, SpaceX began construction of a launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. By 2020, they had built their first prototype, Starhopper. It hopped, it hovered, it landed. By 2022, they had Starship SN-20, a fully stacked vehicle, 120 meters tall, over 5,000 tons, powered by 33 Raptor engines on the booster, 33 more on the ship. Total thrust, over 160 million newtons, more than Saturn V. More than any rocket ever flown. It doesn't use kerosene. It doesn't use liquid hydrogen. It uses methane. Why? Because on Mars, you can make it. You take CO2 from the atmosphere. You take H2O from ice. You run them through electrolysis and Sabatier reactors. You get oxygen. You get methane. Fuel for the return trip. Self-sufficiency. No need to carry everything from Earth. No need to wait for resupply. You live off the land. Starship is designed to carry 100 tons into orbit, or 150 tons if you refuel in space. Inside, 1,000 cubic meters of pressurized space, 40 private cabins, shared living areas, kitchen, workshop, medical bay, radiation shelter, lined with water tanks and polyethylene. Solar arrays on the roof, radar and LiDAR for autonomous landing. It lands on legs. Like a bird, it can touch down on rock, on sand, on ice, on Mars, on the moon, even on asteroids. It doesn't need a runway. It doesn't need a tower. It doesn't need help. It flies itself, and it's reusable, not just once, 10 times, 20, 100. The goal? To make the cost per ton to Mars cheaper than shipping containers across the Pacific. That's the math. That's the ambition. You cannot fly to Mars with a full tank. Earth's gravity is too strong. So SpaceX invented a new way. First, launch the Starship. Empty, just a ship. Then, launch a tanker, filled with liquid methane and liquid oxygen. Dock them in low Earth orbit. Transfer fuel. Do it 3 times. 4 times. Fill the ship until it's heavy enough to escape Earth. Then, ignite the engines. Leave. Head for Mars. This is called orbital refueling. It's never been done before. But in 2024, SpaceX completed its first successful demonstration. 2 Starships met in orbit. Transferred cryogenic propellant. Closed valves. Separated. All autonomously. No astronauts. No humans. Just machines. Talking to each other. In silence. In darkness. In zero gravity. That test changed everything. Now, the path to Mars is clear. You don't need one giant rocket. You need many small ones, working together, like ants building a hill. One carries soil, another carries water, another carries seed. Together, they build a home. That's what SpaceX is doing, building the infrastructure, not just the vehicle. By early 2025, Starship had completed 7 orbital test flights. Each one improved. Each one safer, each one closer to reality. In May 2025, the first uncrewed cargo mission launched, carrying rovers, power units, water extractors. What does life on Mars look like? It doesn't look like sci-fi movies. There are no glass domes, no floating cities, no neon signs. It looks like a cluster of buried cylinders, covered in regolith, Martian dirt, 5 meters thick, shielding from radiation, from micrometeorites, from windstorms that last for weeks. Inside, temperature regulated, humidity controlled, air scrubbed, CO2 removed, oxygen generated, light simulated, circadian rhythms maintained. Windows? Small, reinforced, tinted, to block UV, to protect dyes, to remind you, you're still on Earth. You sleep in small rooms, eat meals together, work in shifts, exercise daily to fight muscle loss, talk to family on Earth with 20-minute delays. You watch videos, read books, play games, grow herbs on your windowsill. You feel the weight of the sky, not because it's heavy, but because it's missing. You miss the wind, you miss rain, you miss birds. You miss grass. You miss the smell of wet earth. But you learn to live without it. Because you have something better. Purpose. Discovery. Survival. Hope. Every day on Mars, you work. Not to survive, but to expand. Your main job? Extracting resources. You drill into permafrost. Heat the ice. Collect the water. Filter it. Purify it. Store it. You split it into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen goes to the Savalier reactor. Carbon dioxide from the air enters. Out comes methane and water. You store the methane. You store the oxygen. You use the oxygen to breathe. You use the methane to fuel rockets. For the return trip, for the next ship, for the next wave, you use 3D printers to build tools. For Martian dust, sintered by lasers, pressed into bricks, used for walls, for roads, for foundations. You grow algae in bioreactors to clean the air. You raise insects for protein. You ferment yeast for bread. You recycle everything. Water from showers, waste from toilets, Condensation from breath. Everything flows. Everything renews. This isn't survival. This is industry. This is civilization. The first colony, 100 people. By 2035, 500. By 2040, 2,000. By 2050, 10,000. Each year, 2 ships arrive. Each ship carries 100 people. Each person pays $200,000. Not because it's cheap, but because it's fair. It's not a ticket to vacation. It's a contract. You sign it. You know you might never come back. You know you'll live your whole life under a dome. You know you'll die on Mars. But you go anyway, because you believe, because you want to be part of something bigger, because you want your child to be born under 2 moons, because you want to be the first generation of Martians. By 2070, the population reaches 100,000. Cities form, not big, not sprawling, but clustered, connected, interdependent. Greenhouses become farms. Farms become towns. Towns become districts. Districts become cities. Names emerge. New Houston, Red Haven, Valles Marineris Station, Olympus Base. They have schools, libraries, hospitals, churches, bars, pizza places, music festivals. People fall in love, have children, raise families. Their kids grow up thinking Earth is a myth, a story told by elders. They used to live on a blue planet, they say, and it had oceans. They had trees. They had weather. They had freedom. And the Martians? They smile and say, we have something better. We have purpose. It's not the cold. It's not the thin air. It's not the lack of gravity. It's the silence, the isolation, the fact that no one hears you scream. No one comes to help. If you break a leg, you fix it yourself. If your oxygen generator fails, you rebuild it. If your crops die, you replant. If your partner dies, you bury them. And you keep going. Radiation is constant. Cosmic rays, solar flares, even underground, you get 100 millisieverts per year. 10 times Earth's dose. Cancer risk rises. Birth defects increase. Children born on Mars may have mutations. They may be stronger. They may be different. They may evolve. The dust is everywhere. Fine. Static charged. Abrasive. It gets into seals. Into machinery. Into lungs. It corrodes metal. It clogs filters. It ruins solar panels. You clean constantly. You maintain constantly. You repair constantly. You never rest. Because if you stop, you die. This isn't a mission. It's a lifestyle, a religion, a commitment. Some say yes. We can warm the planet. We can melt the poles. We can release trapped CO2. We can thicken the atmosphere. We can create a greenhouse effect. We can raise the temperature by 20 degrees. We can make rivers flow. We can make clouds form. We can make rain fall. But it would take centuries, maybe millennia. And we don't have that time. The first colonists won't see it. Their children won't see it. Their grandchildren might. So what do? We adapt. We live inside. We build domes. We shield. We engineer. We don't change Mars. We change ourselves. We become Martian. We evolve. We become a new kind of human. One that doesn't eat Earth. One that doesn't need oxygen tanks. One that can live in silence, in darkness, in dust, in cold, and still thrive. That's the real goal. Not terraforming Mars, but terraforming humanity. Think about this. In 100 years, there will be 2 types of humans. Earthlings, Martians. They will speak slightly different languages, use different slang, have different values, different art, different music, different politics. Martians will value self-reliance, resourcefulness, community, resilience. Earthlings will value consumption, convenience, speed, comfort. They will argue. They will misunderstand. They will fear each other, but they will also admire each other. Martians will send messages. We live in silence, but we are alive. Earthlings will reply, we live in noise, but we are afraid. And slowly, the divide will deepen, until one day, Mars declares independence, not by war, but by choice, by identity, by culture, by necessity. And Earth, it will understand, because we were once colonies too. England, Spain, Portugal, America, we all started as outposts. We all became nations. Mars will be no different. It won't be a province. It won't be a territory. It will be a country with its own flag, its own anthem, its own history, and its own future. Why $200,000? Because that's the price of a house in some parts of the world. That's the price of a college education. That's the price of a car. It's not cheap, but it's not impossible. It's within reach. For engineers, doctors, teachers, farmers, artists, scientists, builders, anyone willing to leave, anyone willing to start over, anyone willing to bet their life on the future. It's not a lottery. It's an application. You apply, you train, you pass medical tests, you learn how to fix a reactor, how to grow food, how to handle grief. You spend 2 years in simulation in Arizona, in Hawaii, in the Gobi Desert. You live in a dome, with no sunlight, with recycled air, with no privacy. And if you survive, you get chosen. You go. You leave behind everything. Your parents, your friends, your childhood, your country, your past, and you become someone new, a Martian. The ultimate goal? Not to save humanity, not to escape climate collapse, not to find gold, not to prove we're smart. The goal is simpler, to make sure that life continues, even if Earth dies. An asteroid hits, a supervolcano erupts, a pandemic wipes out 80%. A nuclear war turns the sky black. The oceans boil, the air burns, the ground cracks. And Mars? Still there, still alive, still growing, still breathing, still dreaming. That's why we go, not to flee, but to preserve, to ensure that consciousness, the ability to wonder, to create, to love, doesn't end with one planet. We are not leaving Earth. We are becoming part of something larger. A multi-planetary species, a cosmic civilization, a legacy written not in stone, but in stars. Elon Musk didn't invent Mars colonization. He didn't invent rockets. He didn't invent methane engines. He didn't invent orbital refueling. He didn't invent habitats. He didn't invent hope, but he brought them all together, and he refused to wait. He built the machine. He tested it. He failed. He rebuilt. He failed again. He tried again. And now it's real. Not in theory, not in slides, not in interviews, but in steel, in fire, in silence, in the quiet hum of a rocket engine igniting over Texas, in the glow of a habitat lighting up under Martian twilight, in the first seedling breaking through Martian soil, in the first child born under 2 moons. We are not watching history. We're making it. And you are part of it. Whether you go or whether you stay, you are witnessing the moment humanity stepped out of its cradle and chose to grow. So when you look up tonight and see Mars shining red in the sky, remember, that's not just a planet. That's a promise. A promise that life doesn't end here. That death is not final. That even in the dark, we light the way. We are not alone. We are becoming more. And that is worth everything. We hope this journey ignited your curiosity. Stay with us as we explore the silent rise of a new civilization, the quiet courage of those who dare to leave Earth behind, and the enduring spark of human will that refuses to be confined to one world. Subscribe and join us for the next discovery.